Hello and welcome to this new lesson on Power BI, where we will transfer the dataset contained in this Excel sheet called Financial Data Example, first to SharePoint and then to Power BI. So we will perform the same operations that we did regarding the list of municipalities with access. We will generate a SharePoint list from this Excel dataset, and then synchronize SharePoint with Power BI, after which we will also build the flow that automatically updates the dataset in the Power BI model. So let's open this Excel sheet to see what it's about. It is an Excel sheet provided by Microsoft in Power BI. I downloaded it, translated it into Italian, and translated all the entries into Italian. It was all in English, and to work on it better, to better access the fields, to better see the results, and obviously I am leaving this file here in the lesson resources. So you can download it to repeat all the operations that I am about to do. So as you can see, this is a very rich data set we have. Plus, obviously, there were other types of products more suitable for market segments. I referred to them with the names of wines anyway. The important thing is to see how the data pivots in the charts and tables. The market segment, the state where they are sold, the product, the discount range, the units sold, the production price, the selling price, and many other data that will really give us the opportunity to get creative, compared to what we couldn't do with the data we had. Here we have the data of the municipalities in Access, because the data of the municipalities, there the columns were really few. Especially there was only one numerical one, the one related to the number of inhabitants, which gave us the possibility to do some calculations. That calculation we did by dividing the municipalities into blocks of inhabitants. So now I'm going to close this Excel sheet here. I go to SharePoint, which I have already opened. I click on New, because at this point, we need to create a container that is a SharePoint list to host this data. So definitively transfer our data from Excel to SharePoint. So New List, I'm going to create a new list. Here are the various possibilities that SharePoint gives me to create a list. Obviously, I choose the one from Excel. From Excel sheet, I create it from Excel sheet, upload the file, Financial Data Example. I double-click on it. The upload operations begin. Here, it shows me how the data is presented in the SharePoint list. As you can see, it is absolutely analogous to the Excel sheet. It is managed in exactly the same way. Here, I already see that something is wrong because it put a dot in the year. Evidently, it considered it a numerical data. Now we will immediately transform it into a text data. So here I click on Next. It tells me to choose a title. By default, it uses the name with which the Excel file is named. For example, Financial Data. Let's say that's fine. And we click on Create. At this point, the operations of creating the list begin. In the meantime, I take advantage and go to Open Power BI Desktop. Meanwhile, it takes a few seconds to create the SharePoint list. Let's wait a moment longer. Let's go back to SharePoint. I say it's a numerical data. It tells me that it has completed the operation 100%, but it still doesn't show us the list. But it's just a matter of a few seconds. A moment of patience, and the list with all the data that we saw in that Excel sheet will be created here. It has created it, and now all the data will appear for us here. As you can see, it is similar to an Excel sheet. Here I clicked on an item, on a row, and then by clicking on Edit, I can go and modify this row. Or even better, I can click on Edit in Grid View and go to Modify Field by Field. Any field I can modify directly from here, and then exit from the grid view. And I was saying that SharePoint already offers us some pre-made filters, because if I click here on the funnel icon, some filters appear that SharePoint has already created automatically. Now, if I go to hide these numerical filters, which are the ones he selected first, you will see that there are others that concern. Here, for example, we have already obtained, if I wanted to see only how sales went to private individuals via the internet. Here's the situation overview. And if I click here, and if I click here, here's the overview of the situation. And if I click here, and if I wanted to see how private sales went via the internet in Germany, here is the overview of the situation of internet sales. In Germany, to private individuals, obviously, This will all be more visible in Power BI with the charts. We absolutely won't have to come here to see these things, but at a glance, we can see them here as well. I showed you how in SharePoint what in Excel might even take less time compared to building the laborious macros that should be built to obtain the graphs, but also to make simple filters in all fields. It takes time, and therefore it's a situation absolutely to avoid, since there is this convenient tool on which you can also transfer the data you are already working with in the blink of an eye into a SharePoint list. I had noticed before that the year had come with this point because evidently it took it as a numerical data. So let's correct it right away. Click here on the gear icon list settings. Go to year, and indeed it took it as numerical data. I click on year, choose a line of text, so I correct it in the text data. Okay, I go back to the list. Let's see if the correction has been made. The correction has been made. Now we go to Power BI and create a new report. Retrieve the data from another source. I want to point out that the data might be retrieved also directly from an Excel sheet. But Excel in Power Automate, however, it is not a trigger, and therefore, from Excel, it would not be possible to directly update the data in Power BI through a Power Automate flow. Whereas with SharePoint, yes, that's why it is preferable, always SharePoint. Now let's go and see, besides the fact that the data is definitely better managed online. So retrieve the data from another source. Other, because I know SharePoint is here. Here is the SharePoint list. Connect. Now it will ask me to enter the site URL. I go to copy it up to here, up to the site name, Training Courses, Control-C. I copy it back to Power BI. Control-V, I paste it. Okay? And at this point, I'll have to choose the list within this site from which to draw the data, from which the Power BI model will have to draw the data, which is this one here, the financial data examples list. So I check it, and then I click on Load. Now let's let it load. The preview evaluation shows us, just as it previously showed us in SharePoint, the preview of the data that we were loading from Excel. And here it shows us the data that we are synchronizing with SharePoint, between SharePoint and Power BI. And here too we see there are already some things to correct, because it doesn't put the field names, but it puts the field number from 1 to N. And I also think here it has put title, because the SharePoint list automatically creates a field which is called title, and we will correct that as well. At this point, let's click on Load. And wait a moment for the data to be loaded. I will then show you how they turned out. Then I will conclude this lesson here. So let's open the table. Here are all the data that have been reported, even with these fields that are from SharePoint. Power BI reports them by default, but those do not interest us. We are interested in fields 1 to 14, the title field here. Obviously, by expanding this menu, we see that we have field 1, field 2, field 3, etc., up to field 15, the title field.